start by recording and do that as well. And right now you should see the opening slide to the presentation, which is just our logo. Scout, are you seeing that?
I see the logo.
Okay, awesome. So we're going to get started. And I just want to welcome everybody to our first Assistive Technology Boot Camp. This camp's entitled iPad Applications for Students with Significant Intellectual Disabilities. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Laura Hoffman with Missouri Assistive Technology. I'm a program coordinator in charge of the lending library and the Assistive Technology Reimbursement Grant Program. I just want to welcome you as we get started, and I'm glad that you're joining us today. We have an abundance to cover. The things that I'd like to focus on today are those apps that target the specific goals of cause and effect, augmentative and alternative communication, and literacy. iOS applications for these three educational supports videos for all of these educational supports will be out on our YouTube channel immediately following this training session, along with the recorded version of the presentation. So if you want to go over things again or take a deeper look at an app that we cover, those supports will be out there for you. So we'll take a look at these three areas of educational support, and in your search for your apps to support your students, I want you to remain aware that the success or failure of the user is not just based on the app itself. There are, I don't know why that happened. Hold on a second. Okay. There are two other areas that should also be evaluated for your students. One meaning the means of access, and the other being built-in iOS accessibility. We have boot camps.
Laura,
yes.
You're not sharing your screen yet. Do you know that?
No, it should be sharing.
No, maybe because you went to the last time you shared your screen first. So try that again.
Okay, let's
put your face back on for a sec.
Well, let's see if this does it.
There we go.
Okay, sorry about that, folks.
So just go back real quick to the first slides.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, I have.
Yeah.
I have 30
go ahead.
little squares of people's faces on top of my presentation. So sorry about that, guys. But anyway, this training is designed so that today we have our Zoom meeting, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you have the opportunity to go out onto the YouTube channel and work through the training materials that are available to you through our YouTube channel. And then Friday, I'd like to get back together at the same time in the same format to help support and answer your questions. And Scout, we have 14 people waiting in the waiting room somehow. I'm sorry, folks. Okay, admit all. Here they come. Okay. Welcome, everybody. We got started just a few moments ago. This webinar is being recorded, so if you've missed anything, you can check it out on our YouTube channel. But for the sake of time, we're going to keep going. But for this training, we're going to assume that your students are able to do direct selection on the iPad. So if you need additional support for access methods or iOS accessibility options, please join us for additional trainings. Sorry, I just got more people joining us.
I got them.
You got them? All right, thank you. Okay, so we are going to jump in to cause and effect apps. We're going to begin with this topic. In order to do so, we first have to understand the extent of the concept. Cause and effect can be thought of a way for the individual to control their environment or receive a response from someone or something. An iPad can be used to develop these skills, and if the user touches the screen, something can happen. But also, if the user touches an external switch, something can happen. So if you have a student that cannot develop or is having trouble developing cause and effect from using the iPad itself, know that the option of a switch interface is available, or even a Bluetooth connection to a switch is available. So there are thousands of apps out there, and my goal with this training is to help you to work through a systematic approach to finding apps that will work for your user. In your packets that were provided with the iPads that were sent to you, there are 2 stapled pieces of paper that they're labeled as apps for all students. And Scout, if you could check and see that everybody can get in. I'm getting texts on my phone from people that aren't able to get in. Okay, so there is a set of 2 papers that says apps for all students, and we're going to work through that systematic approach as we look at apps. But the first thing that we want to be able to do is determine the goal of the user. What are they working towards? Cause and effect with sequencing, cause and effect through step-by-step instruction. There are apps out there that help us to target any of those goals. Secondly, when looking at a cause and effect app, we need to look at the auditory, visual, and cognitive abilities of the student. If these are ignored, the students can become disengaged with the app or overstimulated. The iPad then becomes more of a frustration than an educational tool. So auditory features may be important to the user, say somebody with low vision or visual impairments or cognitive disabilities. Auditory feedback can certainly supplement the visual feedback provided. And for those students that tend to become overstimulated or distracted, the app's auditory feedback should have parameters to enable the feedback to be controlled or turned off altogether. When evaluating an app, consider the auditory feedback that occurs while the user is working on the task, as well as the auditory feedback that is provided when the task is completed. Does the app provide positive responses and negative responses? And sometimes our students don't appreciate the negative responses if they misselect. So look for apps where you can turn that option off. For visual feedback, it can be provided through text or graphics or photos or images with or without animation. We don't want to overstimulate the students, and we want to make sure that we find apps that allow us to control these things. Then lastly, we want to find apps that meet the cognitive level, the present goals of the student, and some apps that can grow with the student as well as their educational goals change. So to find those apps, I find it helpful to use the approach that's outlined on those sheets that I've provided to you. And the last thing is the basic feature, whoops, sorry about that, the basic features of the app. Does the app provide feedback back to the teacher? Can it be feedback that's received remotely? Is the student's progress being tracked by the app? Can a printed out report be generated by the app? So these are all things to consider when working through an app. But for the sake of the training, I've included 5 cause and effect apps that we like to use at Missouri Assistive Technology. and we're going to take a quick look at them. Know that according to the syllabus that was provided to you and our YouTube channel, there are educational supports out there and training videos on the YouTube channel for you to reference as you work through the apps this week. So the first one on our list is Switch Kids, which many of you may already be familiar with. If you have the iPad with you that we have sent out, feel free to take a look at the app as we go through it. But I'm just going to give you a quick overview. So on this app, we can just see a basic outline of the 3 activities that are available to us. We know, if we go back through the steps that I talked about, we know the goal of the user is cause and effect. Sensory features can be set through this app. The characteristics of the app are all listed under the instructions and settings, and it's all driven just by this simple home screen. So with funny sounds and faces, it's just a cause and effect activity, but the activity gives us the option of letting the student either press and release the switch or the screen, or press and hold the screen. So different types of cause and effect responses. Once the switch is released, the effect can sound, the effect can happen, or if the child holds the switch, the effect can happen. So it gives, this particular activity gives us the ability to build on the cause and effect response that the student receives. The next activity from the home screen is the bubble gum activity, and in this activity, the avatar on the screen, or the face on the screen, actually blows a bubble. This activity is designed to teach cause and effect with delayed effect. That means the longer the child holds the switch, the more cause that is created, the greater the effect. So as the child activates the switch, the bubble increases in size. Didn't mean for the screen to change. And as the bubble increases in size, it pops on the avatar's face. So they get that effect. The next activity in Switch Kids is a Build-A-Kid activity. And this is cause and effect through sequencing. So it's step by step to build and dress the child. But through the settings of this activity, or this app, we're able to find those things that work for our students. We can choose what faces are used. We can choose how long they have to activate the switch before the bubble pops. We can choose how many Build-A-Kid activities that the child can do. So there are a lot of controls that are available in this very simple app that allow us to work on the cause and effect activities for the student. And for the facilitator, it's a very easy activity or app to work with. All of the instructions are built into that home screen under the instructions tab. So it's just a nice way to have support in case you have any questions for the app. You don't have to go out on the internet and look for answers. But under the system setting, you can make any adjustments that you need to make for the on the activity for the student. And there's also a revert to default settings on here as well, which is nice because it gives you the option of messing with everything, knowing that you're not going to mess things up to the point of no return. So I would encourage you to get in here and play with the activity. Sorry, my screen changed again. Play with the activity and the system settings and see what would both or best work for your students. Okay, another nice thing on this activity that fits the apps for student outline worksheets that I gave you is this activity provides feedback back to the facilitator. So on the system setting scoreboard, I don't know why my computer's doing that, sorry. On the scoreboard, it shows you how many times each activity was attempted or performed. So this Switch Kids by MarbleSoft is just a nice way to teach cause and effect with sequencing, and provide the facilitator with feedback. Okay, the next one I want to share with you is Little Bears C's Tap and See Now Deluxe. This is a great app for those kids with CVI. There are a lot of controls in here for colors and sounds, image size and movement, and everything can be found and navigated through the settings icon on the home screen. So if we take a look at the parameters that can be adjusted from the home screen, we can see that there's 5 categories: the sound, background, touch, motion, and images. Just going through quickly, you can turn off or toggle on and off the sound. You can make changes in the sounds that are selected, so that if you find that your student responds better to one sound over another, you can choose it, or you can eliminate those sounds that the child doesn't respond well to, and then randomize how those sounds are presented back to the student. Under background, you can select the colors. You can eliminate those colors that don't work well for the student, and then you can randomize those as well. Under touch, there are 2 different options, touch or tap, and then you see the magnet finger option. With the touch, when the touch is selected, the student will receive the effect once the image on the screen is touched. When it's set to tap, the student will receive the reward after lifting their hand from the iPad. So once again, building on the cause and effect, and everything's driven right from this menu here. With the magnet finger option, the student can trace their finger along the screen, and the image will be attracted to wherever their finger is, like a magnet. Okay, so under motion, there are 2 slide controls, one for the size of the object and one for the speed of the object, or the speed at which the object moves. Hold on, I have more coming in. Okay, let me say, if you select the speed at the highest speed, and I don't know why, I think it's a glitch in the app, but if you set it to the highest speed, you will not get the auditory feedback. I'm not exactly sure why. So if that happens to you, just slow it down a little bit. So, sorry, I lost my place. Oh, shake on tap. For this option, it just, when the student makes the selection, the image shakes on the screen. So it just gives them a little bit more visual feedback. Okay, under the images, the facilitator can control what categories of images are presented. So this could be helpful if you're working on a thematic unit where you want pictures of vehicles or pictures of food items or whatever the case may be. There's many different groupings of images under here, and you can choose which ones work best for what the student's goals are or what you're trying to convey. But here you can also select colors that work. So you can have a red teddy bear, a brown teddy bear, a blue teddy bear, and choose whatever colors work best for that student, and then choose to randomize them or not. But if I can go to my next slide. There we go. So once again, if we go back to our checklist that was provided, this app is for somebody working with cause and effect. There are many different settings that are appropriate for sensory and cognitive feature, or there are many sensory and cognitive features available, and it is supported with alternative access and iOS accessibility. So, and if iOS accessibility and alternative access are new to you, know that we're having very similar trainings in September and October on both alternative access and the built-in iOS accessibility options. Okay, so the next one I have listed for you is 5 Little Frogs. It too is a cause and effect activity. It's a little bit different, and I chose this one to show to you because the alternative input methods are easy to select through this app. So the home screen of the app states that the user can access through the screen, or if you go under, well, I don't have it on a slide. I thought I did. But trust me, you can do external tracking through a mouse or through a switch. And if you have an iPad Pro with a true depth camera on it, you can actually do head tracking on this device. Oh, here we go. I knew it was on here somewhere. Okay, so this app gives you the option of choosing 1 or 2 switches. And like I said, if you have a true depth camera on your iPad, you'll be able to do head tracking as well. Most of you folks, if you're on MoATs, iPads, you do not have the camera that you would need. But if your student has a newer iPad Pro, you can do head tracking as well. Okay, so I missed a slide. So the activities for this app are very simple. You can play a song with cause and effect. You can count up to 5, 1 at a time with cause and effect, and you can count with the song with cause and effect. So it's a very simple app, and it is very user-friendly. I will say that if you're not familiar with guided access, guided access is a built-in feature of iOS that will prevent your students from exiting the app and getting into other things on the iPad that you may not want them to be able to get into. I'm not going to go into detail on guided access today because it's part of the iOS accessibility training that we're going to do. However, there are really good videos out on our YouTube channel walking you through it. So if you'd like to look into guided access while you have the iPads in your possession, know that that's an option. So that iOS capability is what locks the student into the app and prevents them from exploring other apps or doing things on the iPad that you'd prefer them not to do. So, you know, during this week, you're encouraged to explore other cause and effect applications other than the ones that we're discussing. On our YouTube channel, there are also videos. Now, I talked about 3 cause and effect apps, but there are also videos for Visual Impact 3 and Endeavor 3 that I have showcased on previous newsletters through MoAT. Take a look at those 2 as well. They are not educational games, but they are cause and effect scheduling tools that help the users to become more independent by following cause and effect through sequencing. You may have seen them featured on the newsletter. And if you don't currently get the newsletter, drop me an email and I will get you added to our list. But also take some time this week to look through sites like Help Kids Learn. On this site, there are many cause and effect apps out there. And you can see just from this screenshot that I grabbed, 7 out of the 8 that are listed just on this screenshot are listed for free. In the newsletter that'll go out from us tomorrow, there are 4 other really good resources for cause and effect apps, and I will post those up to the YouTube channel as well. Oh, sorry I'm going so quickly. We just have a lot of information to cover in a short period of time. But I'm going to jump right over to augmentative communication through the iPad. Apps on the iPad can add support for non-verbal individuals. You know, I came here about a little over a year ago, and I was really surprised. There seemed to be 1 or 2 apps that are widely used for communication through the state of Missouri. And if nothing else, I'd like you to learn that there are many other options. So if you hand an iPad over to a student and the AAC app that you're most familiar with just does not seem to work for them, know that there are dozens and dozens of other options. If after working through your time with the iPad, you still aren't finding that solution that you think will work for your student, please give us a call, because I'd like to walk you through finding something that will work for your student. But just in our time together, I'd like to showcase the 5 that you see on the screen and work our way through that. So the first one I'd like to introduce to you is called Inner Voice. It's an amazing app that I've seen immediate results with. I wasn't impressed with it at first, but after working with it, it has become one of my favorite apps, especially for students on the spectrum. Okay, so, oh, sorry, I have people joining a little late here. Okay, there we go. So this is our home screen from the Inner Voice application, and from here the student or the facilitator can create an avatar of the student. So as they generate speech, they can see themselves speak the words. The eyes move, the lips move on the avatar, and the 4 icons in the upper left-hand corner are used to show emotion on the face of the avatar. So the student learns, or the communicator learns, what happy looks like, what sad looks like, what angry looks like, and how it's reflected in speech. Take the opportunity to play with this. I will say that if your student has had this app in the past, you may need to upgrade it this year. It was at one point the app was free, and then it went up to $4.99. Now it's at $99 because they've built quite a bit more into the app. So if it is an app you're familiar with, you may need to upgrade this year. Also know that if the, oh, I don't know what I was going to go, where I was going to go. Oh, there's also volume purchase pricing with this app. So if it's something that, you know, many students in your classroom could benefit from, or in your school could benefit from, there is volume purchase pricing through the iOS App Store, the Apple App Store. Okay, so the first choice on this menu is basic words, and it's very much like every other AAC device you've seen, where the grid is laid out and the student can string together language or have complete sentences or thoughts under one location. Sorry, I have more people joining us. Okay, the second selection is video stories. This allows videos to be strung together in a step-by-step sequence for communication, which a lot of different AAC apps don't allow to happen. The next icon you see is My Words. This is where you would store complete messages or things that the student may want to say over and over again. So maybe they want to tell many people about their summer vacation or their introduction or such. You would store it there. A nifty feature on this app, though, is the chat icon that's there, the first one in the second row. And the easiest way to describe it is, you know, if you've ever asked Siri questions or asked Alexa questions and she comes back with random answers, and you know, I think I put some examples on here. Let's go to the next slide. Maybe. Sorry, I'm having trouble changing my slides. But trust me, you can't. Oh, there we go. All right, so I took a screenshot of, sorry, my screen is blocked. Okay, there we go. I took a screenshot and I said, do pigs fly? And she came back, or the device came back and said, no, pigs oink. I said, what does the fox say? And it responded. So it's a neat attribute of this app that allows the child to engage with back and forth conversation. So it's not something that's common on other apps. Okay, the next option is the visual language, where we can take pictures of things that are familiar to the child and add them to their communication. It does have some built-in help to do this. So I took a picture of a bowl of apples. It generated that it was a bowl of fruit. Now I could go back and edit it, or I could be happy with the way it came up. But the app allows text to be spoken, saved, or shared via email, texting, or AirDrop. So it fits into our spreadsheet or our checklist of finding an app that allows the student to engage with the facilitator. So there are some really good videos out on the YouTube channel to help support learning the Inner Voice app that is on your device. Okay, the next one that I want to talk about is GoTalk Now. We're simply not going to be able to get into too much of it during this time, but after the meeting, you'll have access to training videos. Spend some time learning those or looking at those to help you learn. But the GoTalk Now app is very familiar to a lot of you because it looks a lot like a GoTalk. However, it is not recorded voice. It is generated by the device, and there's a lot more flexibility here. So if you ever have worked with a GoTalk Now might be a nice next step. This app produces communication through a grid like TouchChat that you may already be familiar with. But it also allows the facilitator to add scenes, and that's what you see here. So this is an image of maybe a kindergarten class having circle time, and different things that pertain to that circle time are listed along the left-hand side. So take a look at the videos on the GoTalk, and also know that for those users that are a little bit more high tech, there's also an app called GoTalk Wow that is very similar and is available on the iWatch or the Apple Watch, so that they can have the device on their wrist. Okay, so Seen and Heard is the next AAC app that's on here, and it is another app that allows us to use scenes where we can assign hotspots that can be used for communication. And you can see the hotspots in this screenshot. They're just the circles or squares around the different images that we may want to communicate about. So it's just a different way of presenting communication to the user, and you know, you can use real pictures of images to help them to learn to communicate through the device. Okay, next is TouchChat. I'm sure that this and the next app are familiar to a lot of you. TouchChat is a grid-based communication device. The most important thing when looking at purchasing TouchChat know that there are a couple versions out in the App Store available. One is listed at $149. However, that purchase price does not include the WordPower Gateway or Pixon page sets. So you have to do a lot more construction of page sets to get functional communication that may be familiar to the team. I find that a lot of folks that are using TouchChat are using it with the WordPower page set. So if you want WordPower on there, it's going to be $2.99. This is another app that can use the True Depth camera that is available on the iPad. So if you have a student that needs head tracking as an input means, you can use TouchChat with an iPad Pro and the True Depth camera. So another nice feature about TouchChat is something called TouchChat Editor. And I know my folks down at Shady Grove State School are very familiar with this now and have been using it successfully this past school year. But TouchChat Editor allows facilitators to create page sets on their computer and then send them to the child's iPad. Also, the communicator can send text back via Dropbox to the facilitator. Something I'd like to add here, while working through preparing for the boot camp, I have been talking with Amanda and Betsy, who are the Missouri State reps for the Saltillo company, the creators of TouchChat, and they are offering a follow-up training session on August the 19th. If you want to learn more than what is presented through our YouTube channel. So if you're interested in that training session, you can contact Betsy at betsy@saltillo.com, and it's SALTILLO, or you can give me a call at the office and I'll get you in contact with her. So just like TouchChat is the page set or the format of the Saltillo NovaChat communication devices, Sonoflex works off of the Communicator 5 page sets of the Tobii Dynavox devices. So I have that here for you. It's also on your device. It's just nice to take a look at them. If it's a student that you think will be moving to a Tobii Dynavox device, you may want to look at Sonoflex. Scout, it looks like we have 4 people trying to join. Can you take a look at that?
There's no one knocking now.
Huh, okay. All right, thank you. All right, so the next thing I want to do is jump right into literacy. And once again, I'm sorry I'm going so quickly. I hope I haven't lost anybody. But, you know, students with intellectual and developmental disabilities in the past have been taught literacy skills through functional skills curricula. And now through technology, there's a way to really use universal design for learning and the framework thereof to help them to learn to decode words or read with fluency and comprehend text. So when looking at literacy apps, I really feel it's good to take a more of a UDL approach. And if UDL is something that's brand new to you, I provided the guidelines for Universal Design for Learning in your training packet. Take a look at it. There's some training videos out on the channel as well if you'd like to learn more about that approach. But it focuses on giving the student multiple means of representation of materials so we can look at a more concrete approach when learning literacy skills. Some of the apps that I have found that fit this approach maybe a little bit better than others are listed for you. Oh, and this is what the UDL outline looks like. So the three areas are multiple means of representation, multiple means of action and expression, and then multiple means of engagement. If you have any questions about UDL or like more information, you can contact me at the office. Okay, so we're going to look at these apps that are listed for you here, and I'm going to start with I Write Words. Okay, so this is a really nice app when you're just starting with literacy skills. The first activity is more of a cause and effect type thing. If you hit the screen or hit the switch, it plays the ABC song. The user receives positive feedback no matter where on the screen they activate. The next activity teaches number writing and recognition. And the way it does this is it presents horizontal and vertical lines on the screen that the user needs to trace with their finger or with a stylus. And each of you should have received a stylus in your package, and you're welcome to keep those so that you could try that as an option with your students. But the user draws the line by chasing a bug with their finger or the stylus on the screen, and it produces positive feedback and negative feedback with which both of them can be adjusted through the settings. But the chasing activities then develop into tracing activities, teaching the students to draw their numbers and letters. There's activities for capital letters and lowercase letters as well as the numbers. Sorry, I'm jumping around a bit. Okay, so the activities are all very similar, and it helps to build the muscle memory as the student works through them. But as they progress through this app, the activities are no longer just displayed on the colored background. They become displayed on lined writing paper so that the student can become familiar with how the size of the letter relates to the lines on the paper. Then the activity goes into putting together very simple sentences. A lot of them are consonant, vowel, consonant, or not sentences, words, consonant, vowel, consonant words. And then another thing with the I Write Words is that the facilitator has a recording of the students' activities and their progression. So the facilitator gets feedback on the app as well. Okay, moving right along. I hope I'm good on time. It looks as though I am. Okay, I chose Dexteria because it's unlike a lot of things that you would think that the iPad could provide. It is more of a therapy tool or a tool that works towards handwriting readiness, but it builds strength, control, and dexterity in the user's hand through the app. So through the activities, they claim it builds coordination and muscle control of the hands and fingers. And the nice thing about it is it creates a performance and usage report that can be emailed or sent to the teacher. Okay, so on this app, if you're in it, you can see that there are 3 different types of activities: tap it, pinch it, and write it activities. The tap and pinch activities are therapeutic activities to help prepare the user to write. And then the write it activities are much like the ones on I Write Words, but more feedback is provided to the facilitator through this app. The app, or the activities in this app and the ones within I Write Words can be completed with finger isolation or with the use of the stylus. Okay, Typo and Typo HD. So there are 2 different versions of this app. for students that are working towards literacy fluency, but may need help with word recognition and spelling. The app offers word prediction without a lot of other things going on, and it makes it easy for the student to learn. Also, if you're not certain if your student can use word prediction, this is a nice app to start with because one version's $10, the other is $12, and there's no need for a subscription. So you can see in this picture that there are 3 things that are coming up in the word prediction box. The word prediction on this app, it's definitely not even close to the developed word prediction of Co-Writer or Got It, but it's a nice way to introduce students to the concept. The word prediction here is based on sentence patterns and not on the order of letters entered. So it learns how the student communicates, but the word prediction is based on sentence patterns. And you'll notice in front of each of the selections is a speaker icon. This icon doesn't just read what is available in the word prediction box. It reads the sentence prior to what the child is inserting into the sentence. So here in this example, we can see the sentences, Typo is a great app with great misspelled. If the child would choose the speaker icon in front of each of the 3 choices in the word prediction box, the app would read them back the complete sentence with that word inserted into the sentence before they actually chose the word. So it's pretty helpful at helping them to, or enabling them to make the correct choice. This app also offers speech recognition so that the child can dictate into the sentence. And if the functionality of this app is not enough for your student, I would take a look at Got It, which is another word prediction app that is available. It's very similar to Co-Writer. However, it's a one-time purchase price where you don't have to do the annual subscription. So if you're interested in that, it's called Got It, and it's spelled GHOTIT. And there's some training videos out on the YouTube channel that you can take a look at for that. Let's see what's next on here. Sorry, come on, slides. There we go. Okay, Storyline Online is an app, and some of you, if you're working on the iPads now, you'll see the literacy folder, and that's where most of the literacy apps are. Some of you, the Storyline icon did not get placed in that literacy folder, but it is on your device, so you may have to look for it a little bit to find it. So Storyline Online is actually one of my favorite apps. This app takes popular children's books and brings them to life through the use or through the presentation of famous celebrities reading the books. Also, the books are animated on the screen, but they're not so busy that I feel as though they're overstimulating. It's very nicely done. And also, this app provides teacher resources. So I provided for you the teacher's guide to one of my childhood favorites, Harry the Dirty Dog, and the teacher's worksheets are actually in your training materials. But the book is presented by Betty White and read aloud to the student. The activities are there that you can print out, and they're really done in a very nicely UDL type format. So take a look at Storyline Online. The next one I have is Clicker Writer, and you can see on this screen that there are words presented to the user or to the student, and they can string them together to put together a sentence. This can totally be controlled by the facilitator. You can add and subtract words, you can add and subtract pictures, and eventually you can take away the picture altogether, so that the child learns to create sentences on their own. This app also gets the student to the point of spelling words independently so that they don't only use the word bank. When using the on-screen keyboard on Clicker Writer, it uses something called the Super Keys keyboard that only presents letters to the child that make sense. So for instance, if the child chooses the letter Q, the next keyboard that is displayed only contains the letter U, because U follows Q. But it does that for every letter that the child selects as they're typing their words. Okay, Epic. Epic is a kids book and video library. There are over 35,000 books that the student can listen to, have read to them. One of my favorite features on Epic is that it provides auditory description of pictures to the student. So for those students that have visual impairments, this can be a really nice tool to have. And for instance, if you're familiar with the picture novel Hugo Cabret, Epic actually describes each and every image in that book. It's a picture novel and there are no words, but the student with visual impairments can experience the book as well through the use of Epic. This app is really nice. It is free to facilitators and to use in the classroom. However, if you do want to use it remotely, or if a parent wants to have an account, it's $7.99 per month to use it remotely. But with the remote access, you can see what the child has progressed through, what they've read, and what tasks they've completed. Okay, so I actually surprised myself. I didn't think I'd be able to stay under an hour, but this last slide here is the additional resources that I told you would be on the newsletter tomorrow. So if you have a second, you can write some of these down, but these are some very nice websites or supports that are out there to help you find additional apps that may apply to your students. So, like I said, I surprised myself and I fell short of the hour mark, but I'd like you to take the opportunity to send us your questions. We'll spend some time going through them. Sorry, I'll take that back in case anybody's writing down those sites. And what we'll do is over the course of the week, if we get questions via email or phone, I'll generate emails and send out answers to those questions. And then we'll get together for a recap session on Friday so that I can answer any questions and address any concerns. But I am here all week and you can call me or email me if you have any concerns or need additional support. So move forward. There's a syllabus in your packet of papers. You have at the end of the session, we'll open up all of the YouTube videos so that you have access to them and just work through them at your leisure. You know, I would recommend you take whatever approach works for you. If you want to just work through learning those apps that directly apply to the students that you're working with now, just embrace the opportunity and get out there and just learn those few apps that might benefit them the most, or delve into every app that we've loaded on there for you and you know, see where you can go with it. But know that we're here to support you Oh, excuse me. And if you have any questions, just let us know. I am really thrilled that you joined us today, and I will send you an email for the Zoom meeting on Friday. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much, and I will see you on Friday.